additional statements. With the recall elections being certified last Friday, we, the proponents of Colorado's first ever recalls, feel it's our duty to come forward and share with the public how these recalls almost never happened. What we will share is a picture that the GOP was ill-prepared for an off-year election, and the GOP tried to stop us at almost every way. First, when the recalls were in their initial stage, phone calls were placed by Ryan Call to county chairs, getting them to try and stand down on the recalls. When Pueblo recall appeared to be moving forward, Chairman Call telephoned the county chair, Becky Mizell, to direct her to shut down recall efforts. Becky, that's an order, were his words. As we know now, the recall in Pueblo succeeded at a number even greater than the Morris recall. On the Morris recall, in June, we sought the party's help as it had grown into a statewide story. Naturally, with the recall efforts against two of the state's top Democrats, we thought the party would welcome involvement. Instead, we were met with a lecture about 2013 being an off year. We were told the recalls were not on the election calendar. Furthermore, Victor Head and myself, two proponents of the recall, were chastised that we were asking the party for a bailout. Of course, we proceeded with the recalls because we knew it was the right thing to do. Coloradans everywhere demanded it. They demanded accountability. We moved forward anyways. What ensued was a fierce legal challenge brought by attorneys for the Democrats being recalled. In that case, it would potentially cost us a lot of money, and we were seeking allies. The party agreed to help us, agreeing to pay for legal expenses that we were facing. Chairman Ryan Call said he would take a few days to get the money together. That money never arrived. In fact, a lot of funding never arrived. While we were in the legal fight to save the recalls, a number of parties solicited funds off the backs of the recalls. Recalls using
A number of parties solicited fundraising off the backs of the recalls, using the name of the recalls, yet never giving one penny to the official recall efforts. These groups include the Colorado Republican Party, Senate Minority Leader Bill Cadman's Senate Majority Fund, and elected officials such as state senators who sent out emails asking for donations, yet never paid those forward to the recall campaigns themselves. RMGO was one of these. They did purchase TV ads. We'll get to that a little later. Every step of the way, though, we felt forces working against us. In fact, often we fought our own party more than we fought John Morris or Angela Hiron. The reason we're coming forward today, if there are to be more successful reforms to the government in the future, the Colorado GOP has got to embrace grassroots, or at least not serve as a roadblock to them. We truly believe we succeeded despite the Republican Party, not because of it. That is why today we are calling upon the Republican Party, rank and file, to demand the following reforms in their leadership. The party needs a leader that is in touch with the people. The party must listen to grassroots. The party must not obstruct the activity of the grassroots when, in a vacuum of leadership, the people rise up and take matters into their own hands. The party must also condemn any chairman who creates an enemies list of the GOP. These individuals are freedom-loving patriots who have shown results that have advanced our party forward. Unless these changes are made to the Republican Party leadership, the party will remain an ineffective tool, and we will not see any more wins in 2014. The people who deserve the credit in these recalls are the tens of thousands of courageous everyday citizens who wrote their names on the dotted line. It is for the people that we choose to come forward today, to tell the real story of what went on behind the recalls. We share this in hopes that we can better ourselves as a party and as a result, better our state. With that, we'll take questions. I'd also just kind of like to point out, we hit on accountability. Folks, that's what this is about. We are going to hold every politician accountable, regardless of what side of the aisle they are on. When politicians make promises and don't follow through with them, or when they actively work against the citizens, I don't care what party you are, we are going to hold you accountable and you are going to own that. If you work against us and you tell people, stand down, don't help the citizens with one of their constitutionally guaranteed rights to petition the government, you are going to own that.
There's a price to pay.
There is a price to pay to taking that route. Now that we've succeeded, it's easy to get behind a winner. There's all kinds of people coming out saying, oh, great, good job. We love that. I don't have any beef with that. Even if you didn't support us and now you say, hey, sorry I didn't support you, great job, fine. But to come out and say, look what a great job we did, now give us money, when the we was just citizens with no other leadership taking place, no other big groups coming forward from the get-go, to include yourself in that we, you're going to own it. You're going to be held accountable to it, and we're going to call it as we see it, and we're going to let everyone know about it.
The reason why these Second Amendment bills became such an issue is because the Guard was let down here in Colorado. The local affiliates that were supposed to protect the Second Amendment utterly failed. And Colorado can't do that. Our Western way of life, our Western spirit was lost because Second Amendment forces at the state level are not there. They're busy running senators' campaigns. They're busy lobbying in West Virginia, or they just didn't show up. And that's got to change. Coloradans who value their constitutional right must stand up. And we hope in the next day or two to have an announcement to share where we can protect our constitutional rights, the Second Amendment right, and it will stay focused in Colorado, about Colorado, and for Colorado. Nothing else.
Bottom line today here is that if you don't stand with the people, we're going to stand against you. We're going to take you down. We're going to take this state back one politician at a time, no matter what side of the aisle you're on, whether they like it or not. That's what's going to happen.
Accountability. It starts now.
Thank you.
Is this, I mean, you and I talked, Victor, when we were leading up to the last days towards the recall, and you were saying they're not running their ads by me, but dang, they're helping. I mean, isn't it, you're kind of coming back and saying, hey, these outside groups now are trying to claim responsibility. They did pitch in and help, didn't they?
They never helped the recalls directly. That's my issue with it. And also to make money, solicit donations after the fact, saying, look what we did. If we're talking about NRA, RMGO, sure, they put ads out, they did their own thing, they didn't consult us.
That's fine. We appreciate the help.
We love that. That was great. I don't have a problem with that. I have a problem with people that worked against us from the get-go and then came on later and said, look what we did. Dudley Brown came out and said, recalls are not a good idea. This is not what's supposed to happen. We don't support it. Later on, he bought TV ads. And he now solicits donations saying, look how good RMGO did with the recalls. Give us money. I'm not okay with that.
No.
That is not okay.
Colorado
we still have,
okay with that.
No, citizens shouldn't be okay with that. We still have outstanding legal bills to pay. And other groups are now soliciting donations off of our hard work. That's what this is about. The county level parties, that's a different story. Becky Mizell was great in Pueblo. She was helpful. We're mostly talking about state level, Senate Majority Fund, Ryan Call himself. People actively worked against us. They actively said, these recalls are not on our schedule, they're not on our agenda, we don't support them, shut them down.
And they don't get to fly back east and tell the higher ups at the party that they did this. That's not the way this works.
Yeah.
The people did this. They don't get to take credit for something that they didn't directly contribute to.
They supported their candidates. That's sure.
Fine.
That's great. The state level party, they donated the maximum they could to their candidates. That's good, but that's expected. We forced them to field a candidate. The point is, they never supported us before then. Once we were successful, they said, well, I guess we have to put someone forward. That was just a given. But to work against us, and even up until election night, Ryan Call came down and tried to tell his candidate how to graciously lose. He said, look, you guys are going to lose it in Pueblo. You need to be gracious. We can't have any sour grapes. We need to have this thing, just get it behind us. And then we blow it out by 12 points, and he wants to take credit. He wanted to speak at my event. He wanted to introduce that senator. I refused. I said, no, you were down here 6 hours before telling him how to have a gracious concession speech. You have nothing to do with this. They supported their candidates. That's great. That's expected.
They can't make promises and then not follow through with them. They can't do it. We were promised legal assistance, and it wasn't given. The Basic Freedom Defense Fund asked for it because we had a defense agreement. but that never came through, ever.
You suspect the Republicans are just worried the recall is going to get used against them?
Absolutely.
Absolutely, they
I
are.
want them to be scared. That is exactly what this is.
A lot of people say that we're intimidating politicians. That's not the case. We're holding them accountable. This is the process that was given to the people of Colorado. It is the sword which the people of Colorado were given. It's hard to draw. It's only happened twice in 137 years. So to say it's an easy thing to do, should it be used all the time? No. But it is a very valid thing, and we're proud to have done it.
Yeah, they need to be reminded of it, that occasionally if you overstep so far, this will come out. This sword will be drawn, basically. And absolutely, all politicians should be frightened, or whatever adjective you want to use. They should be aware that the recall can be used against them. And I think that's precisely why we weren't supported by anyone from the get-go.
And the reality is that the grassroots came to the Republican Party and they were given an opportunity to connect with the people and the voter directly, and they did not take that, as it were, silver platter given to them. If a Republican had been recalled, I imagine the Democrats might step forward. I don't know, but they were given an opportunity and they should have taken it.
So do you guys have a game plan at this point? I mean, you're having this press conference, you're announcing your demands, but are you going to be reaching out to anybody? What is the game plan?
We intend to change the laws in Colorado. We intend to defend a constitutional right in Colorado, and we intend to continue to remind politicians who they work for.
Our main goal from the beginning was accountability and getting politicians, leaders, party leaders, parties in general, getting them to get back with the people and represent the people. We've accomplished a decent amount of that by getting 2 really bad politicians out that didn't listen to their constituents. We'll continue to work on that front, and now we'll turn our attention to the laws and try and get laws repealed and work that way. But we can't move anything forward if we don't have politicians who represent the people. That is the basis of our representative democracy, and it's gotten so far out into this elitist politician attitude. We're trying to crumble it back down on them, and they need to be humble politicians, servants to the people.
It's legislative tyranny when they don't listen to us, and when they will be reminded.
You guys raised the specter of the legal bills. How much of this is about the money? I mean, just the money from the effort to get the recalls moving forward, get it actually happen, and have it be successful.
Are we trying to throw down because we want our bills paid? Is that what you're asking?
Well, because you're saying they offered you lip service, but they didn't help with the legal bills that they pledged to.
Good
right?
People stepped forward all over Colorado and all over the nation, $5 and $10 at a time to get most of our legal bills paid. They're not all gone, but when we didn't get help, we put out a plea. Said, look, it matters. We have to do this. We're so close, and literally $10, $20 at a time. That's how the bills got paid.
How much did the state actually give you all in terms of the legal fees for the district court case?
The GOP?
Yeah.
That question remains to be seen. There was a bill that someone else had offered to pay, and it appears, we're not sure of this, we've been asking for 2 weeks, who's paid that bill, and it appears that possibly the state GOP may have paid that bill in an attempt to buy into the recall, saying, well, we did help, we paid your legal bill, but they know, and we know, that someone else had agreed to pay that legal bill.
How much was it?
Just short of $40,000. That was not the whole legal bill, it was just part of it for one line.
How much is unsettled right now?
I reached out to the law firm this morning, as early as this morning, to ask what the standing of our bill was, and they can't tell us.
As a matter of fact, they had to get permission from people to tell us.
Yeah, so we're almost in the dark. There's lots of entities looking to step forward now and help us to buy their way into our success. And it's welcomed, I guess, great, our bills will get paid, but that is not what was promised. That is not what happened when we were almost about to close. When we were short of it and said, look, we have a legal challenge, we don't have the money to pay it. These recalls are going to go down unless someone comes forward and helps. A bunch of promises happened, nothing came through. We did it with
$10 and $20 at a time. Selling personal stuff to pay for it.
Right. So at this moment, as of this morning, I have no idea. Our law firm will still not actually give us an amount of who has paid what.
Was some of that legal defense money earmarked for Ryan Call's own law firm?
Yes. As a matter of fact, that bill we're discussing, if he did pay it, he's paying his own law firm and he gets his own billable hours.
So for lawmakers, it's pretty obvious, this threat of recall. recall party, you know, a lot of that is interoperational.
It is, but
so how do you hold them accountable, really?
the people who are registered as Republicans need to hold them accountable. They need to say, look, we don't appreciate the way the party didn't reach out to the grassroots. They need to be held accountable in their own structure. But I can guarantee you, we've already proven when enough people set their mind to something, they're going to listen. If enough people express their displeasure with Ryan Call, he will be removed. I mean, that's not our function, but what we do need to do is point out the fact that the people are literally getting robbed of their credit. He shouldn't be taking credit for something that he actively tried to stop. Can't happen.
You said you fought them more than you fought the Democrats?
Indeed.
That's a big statement. Can you maybe offer up some...
We had a general idea of what we were up against. We would have thought our own team, in the sense that in this particular case we were recalling Democrats, so Republicans would actually help. Not so much. At every turn it was, wait, what just happened? Illegal bill, and
Right.
not being paid, or threatening county chairs, saying, don't you dare get involved.
I mean, it was more the unexpected fight, I guess. We knew the Democrats would rally against us. Although, look at Pueblo. The last poll, of course, votes are secret, but the last polling showed that 33% of Democrats voted to recall Giron in Pueblo. We knew the party as a whole would be against us. I knew we had support in Pueblo because I have a lot of, I'm from there, of course, and everything. I have a lot of Democrat friends and all that. But then to run into resistance from what you would assume would be your own team, the team that would help you, that was the surprising and the hardest barriers to get through. We expected the pushback from Democrats. We didn't expect it from Republicans. And so while it may have not been that we fought them more, it was the more surprising and the more difficult fight to do.
Well, and the credit also needs to be given to the libertarians in Colorado Springs. And had it not been for the 1,800 voters, libertarian voters, there's no way. I mean, you saw the gap, it was 0.5%. There's no way if those libertarians hadn't showed up and voted. So the Republicans are very good at pitching to their own team. But the party needs to grow and learn to include more people, because if they don't, they're going to lose these seats.
What's wrong with the Republicans' position that we're not in charge of recalls, we're in charge of, helping Republicans? I mean,
But
you
they're
forced the recall, and now they jump in and help a
They didn't help
Republican.
Republicans. They're not helping themselves. They didn't represent the grassroots. They didn't reach out beyond they didn't pitch in the instance of this in Pueblo. It was more of a based on a Second Amendment thing. You had a lot of people doing that. In El Paso, accountability was the big thing. He structured things so that people couldn't testify. That was the big thing.
Right. I mean, when it's a party platform that you're fighting for, you expect the party whose platform you're fighting, Second Amendment type thing, to back you on it.
Nope.
And it was, like we said, really surprising and very difficult to fight through that. Granted, yeah, recalls aren't their thing, but platform and issues are definitely their thing, and representing the people in your party should be your thing. And it just wasn't done.
No.
Any last questions? They'll be available afterward too.
Okay.
Okay, thank you all for coming.
Thank you.